You wrote a piece in 1966 which changed your life, probably, in some ways, because it was a piece that first, I imagine for many in the public, brought you to the responsibility of intellectuals. A profoundly important piece in which you said it's the responsibility of intellectuals to speak the truth and expose lies. Intellectuals are in a position to expose the lies of governments, to analyze actions according to their causes and motives and often hidden intentions. In the Western world, at least, they have the power that comes from political liberty, from access to information, and freedom of expression. For a privileged minority, Western democracy provides the leisure, the facilities, and the training to seek the truth lying hidden beneath the veil of distortion and misrepresentation, ideology, and class interests through which the events of current history are presented to us. And it seemed to me that epitomizes what has been your role as a public intellectual. Is that your guiding principle? You have at the same time pointed out, at the same time as talking about what the responsibility of an intellectual is, spent a great deal of time essentially castigating intellectuals, pointing out that the role of intellectuals has not been that. The role of intellectuals in our society, which I guess I first learned when I was in your class, which surprised me, is really been to be completely complicit in the lies and distortions and in fact provide an underlying fabric and story on which those people can then use to discuss that. So.
It's unfortunate, but as a fact, I think that's a well-documented fact. Remember, intellectuals are the people who write history, so they come out looking pretty good. Great intellectuals, you know, the immortals of the French Academy, bitterly condemned and denounced them. How dare you challenge the august character of the state? You, a writer with no competence, how can you claim that our army is deceiving us, and so on? Take almost any society you like, and you find that there's a fringe of critical dissidents, and they're usually subjected to one or another form of punishment. Depends on the nature of the society. People who condemned, criticized the king and his crimes, who gave geopolitical analysis and they warning that the acts of the kings were going to lead to disaster, who called for mercy, compassion for widows and orphans, and so on. Now, those are people who are called, the translation is prophets. It's a kind of a bad translation of an obscure Hebrew word. But in our terms, they were functioning roughly the way dissident intellectuals do. How were they treated? They were imprisoned, driven into the desert, and marginalized. There were intellectuals who were respected, flatterers at the court. Centuries later, they were called false prophets, but not at the time. And I think if you think through history, that pattern is replicated very consistently.
What do we do?
What we do is recognize that people like us, I suspect virtually all of us, are a privileged minority. Mm-hmm. We do have unusual freedom by comparative standards. You know, there's plenty you can criticize about the country, but by comparative standards, it's very free. Privilege confers opportunity, and opportunity confers responsibility. And responsibility means dedication to challenging, questioning the verities that are imposed on us by doctrinal systems and structural arrangements that are based on hierarchy and domination. And working, not only challenging them, but doing something about it. And to the degree that you have privilege, there's more that you can do.